Have you ever been playing Warframe and been like, the game moves too fast? Have you ever been playing Warframe and said, wow, I wish I could slow down the game and not rush through every mission? Maybe you've even said that you want the slower approach without having to try to be stealthy. If you've asked any or all of these questions, I absolutely have the answer for you in this video, because the Snipetron Vandal changed the way that I play the game of Warframe. Now, I'll be honest, I've never asked any of those questions because I do love the fast-paced gameplay of Warframe. However, I didn't realize how much I'd love slower-paced combat. Keep watching my review of the Snipetron Vandal if you're interested in finding out why. For the first time in my Warframe career, alright, that's a lie, but for the first time in a very long time, I've actually decided to use a sniper in Warframe. As you can probably guess from the title, I used the Snipetron Vandal for the first ever time. So if you're interested in hearing my experience with the Snipetron Vandal, keep watching. I think you will enjoy hearing about my experience. You know why? Because that'll keep you watching the video and help me get more ad revenue. Anyway, let's go ahead and start talking about it right away. I want to say I came into this a little bit scared. Not because I'm scared of using a gun that actually requires skill, which might be what you guys are thinking right now. You might be thinking, Cook's scared because he sucks at video games, and to aim with a sniper in Warframe, it does require some skill. It's just not a spray and pray weapon like every other single weapon he uses in the game is. And while you are partially correct, the reason I was worried about using a sniper is because it's a little bit strange for such a fast-paced game to really use it a ton. So when I do this series, I sometimes go into missions with only my primary equipped, or only the weapon equipped that I'm making the video about. And doing that with the Snipetron obviously isn't what it's meant for. I don't think the purpose of the weapon, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe the purpose of the weapon is ever to do like an extermination mission or rush through a mission and just use a Snipetron Vandal. Because while it is very fun, and I'll get into that more of why that is later, it's not a very effective weapon in the terms of Warframe. It's not great for crowd control. I feel like it shoots slow. I mean, it shoots fast for a sniper, but it shoots slow compared to every other weapon in the game. And when you can just make any weapon just do a cajillion damage, the weapon that shoots the slowest and has the least AoE is usually the worst weapon. That's how Warframe is. The more AoE it has and the faster it shoots, the better it is. The less of those things it has, the worse it is. But, you know, let's go ahead and get to the Snipetron right away, baby. First things first, it has two different zoom modes. A 2.5 scope that deals 30% more headshot damage, and a 6x scope that does 50% more headshot damage. I want to start off by saying I actually really like this. It's a weapon that actually encourages you to get headshots. I mean, I never aim for headshots in Warframe, I'll be honest with you. You know, if I'm using the Cedo, I just, you know, kill people with it. And I feel like most people also don't really aim for headshots. Yeah, it does a little bit more damage if you hit their critical weak point, but it's not like a huge deal. But if you're getting a 30% boost and a 50% boost on top of the boost you already get from hitting a headshot, I mean, it's definitely worth it, I feel like. It actually makes you feel like you should aim for headshots with the Snipetron, and it's kind of fun, and it's kind of more technical, you know, trying to quick scope someone real quick with a 2.5 scope that's right in front of you. I don't know, I think it's really fun. I'm glad they encourage you to get headshots with it, and it can do some crazy damage, especially on capture targets or high value targets, or like corpus treasurers, enemies that usually can take a while to kill depending on their level. The Snipetron can shred them pretty easy, especially if you get headshots, so that's pretty fun to use that for. However, talking about the scope and how fun it is to aim and get headshots with it, because it does feel really good to get a headshot with the Snipetron Vandal, I found there to be extremely limited situations to where the 6x scope was really that viable or useful. Most rooms in the game, most areas you're in, are way too small for the 6x scope to be that useful if you're fighting, like, if it's like a crowd control situation. Like, if there's multiple enemies attacking you, bro, the 6x scope is just too zoomed in. So I pretty much found myself using a 2.5x scope for most of the time I was using a Snipetron Vandal. And also the Snipetron is pretty inaccurate at like medium range if you're not zoomed in. So the 2.5 scope was definitely what I was using for like 90% of the time I was using the weapon. On top of the headshot bonuses you get, it also has a 28% critical chance, which is pretty good. And just with like basic mods I had on hand, I got up to an 84% critical chance per shot, which is pretty solid. It was doing some pretty good damage. And then it only has a 16% stash chance, and I wasn't really personally able to get that much higher with the mods I had on hand. So I really didn't have a good status build for the Snipetron while I was using it, but it was getting lots of critical shots. And once again, it's important to keep in mind a weakness of the sniper is that critical and stash chances are more important on these semi-automatic weapons since they have less projectiles coming out to do stash or crit chances over a period of time. So with a, like, let's say you have this Soma, let's say it has a 15% stash chance. Well, a 15% stash chance on the Soma is a ton better than a 20% stash chance on like a sniper rifle because each projectile, you know, has a 15% chance and you're shooting, you know, 100 projectiles in 5 seconds. While with the Snipetron Vandal, you're shooting a projectile every second pretty much. Now I did have critical deceleration on, which slows down your fire rate and increases your critical chance. So I did shoot a little bit slower with the Snipetron Vandal, but I actually never had any complaints about how quickly it shot again. It felt like it shot fairly quickly, especially for a sniper rifle, even with critical deceleration. But like I said, you know, these stash chances and stuff are more important for semi-auto weapons than they are for fully automatic weapons that, you know, have a lot of projectiles, or shotguns that also have like a lot of projectiles at once, or beam weapons that have like infinite projectiles every second, they're really nice for that. But anyway, as I was saying, let's keep on moving here. When I used this Snipetron Vandal as my main weapon, it really slowed down the game. So I was like an extermination mission. I did a high level extermination mission, not high level, like medium level, like 60, 70, and it took me like 10 minutes, maybe probably less than 10 minutes, but it took me like 8 to 10 minutes to kill 100 enemies, and it was a lot slower than if I just ran through with my Cedo. However, this is the positive, I'm getting to the positives of the Snipetron, I promise you, is that this weapon is such a fun change of pace, and it's so cool to use. Trying to quick scope people with a 2.5 scope, trying to get headshots going, whoop, 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 aiming in and out of sight really quick. It brings me back to my Call of Duty Black Ops 2 days, you know, when I was getting that gold on like the DSR 50, I think, or was it the DMR 50? I don't know, I remember Black Ops, but it just brought me back to the old days of just getting quick shots and doing quick scopes and all that. It was a ton of fun, honestly, and I don't care if the mission was a little bit slower, it took me a little bit longer, because it feels so good to snipe people in the head. And then if you get like the collateral shots are so cool because the Snipetron Vandal has a ton of punch through. So if there's like a horde of enemies and you shoot into it, chances are you're killing 3 or 4 people, and it feels so good when that happens. It's legitimately one of the best feelings, most satisfying feelings in the game when it comes to using a weapon. So I'm not trying to sit here and say like I don't think snipers are good or that the Snipetron isn't good, because obviously it does very high damage to single targets. It's just, you know, normally when you're playing Warframe, it's not going to be against single targets. That's the problem. But the weapon is legitimately super fun to use and such a change of pace from the typical weapons you'll be using. And I found myself like forgetting the usability sometimes. And I found myself forgetting to like protect myself sometimes because I was so focused on aiming in and shooting that like I just had enemies raining damage on me. But because I was scoped in half the time, I wasn't even paying attention to all the hits I was getting. Which I guess is another negative. You maneuver a little bit worse if every single time you have to shoot an enemy, you have to scope in with a 2.5 scope. So it does hurt your maneuverability a lot to use this weapon. But like I said, it's because you're playing at a slower pace, so you're not trying to be as quick. You're approaching the enemies like, you know, you're not jumping in the middle of the fray with the Snipetron Vandal. You're kind of staying back and shooting from distance, which is what you should be doing. Obviously, you can jump in the middle and do whatever you want. I'm not telling you how to play. I'm just saying that's what I was doing, and it felt right to do it. Something else I did that was very fun and gave me a chance to use the 6x scope was that I actually did use Ash, and I went invisible. I have like 35 seconds of invisibility on Ash, and I would sit up on a high perch area and just snipe enemies with a 6x scope. And it's just, I don't know, it's something so satisfying about sniping enemies from a mile away. It feels so good. And it's something in Warframe you don't do very often, because like I said, you can just run into rooms and nuke them. You know, everyone just nukes enemies now. No one even like plays the game anymore, essentially. You just press your 1 and 4 combined, and there goes the entire room. But if you want to use the weapon play, if you want to use the gun play, like I do, because first off, I'm a casual and don't have any elite builds. Second off, I really like using the guns in the game. It just feels really good to sit back and snipe with the Snipetron Vandal. So even if I don't think it's the most effective weapon or whatever, it certainly is good enough to complete any mission, and it's tons of fun to use, so it's completely viable. And it's just a good time. It's legitimately a good time. But it does slow down a weapon a lot, so if you're trying to complete a bunch of things quick, or if you're farming relics especially, I would not recommend using this ever, in my personal opinion, but it's still super fun to use, and I do recommend getting this weapon. And if you're really good at building weapons, you can really make this weapon dangerous and do tons of damage, ridiculous damage if you really want to. I know back in the day, I actually released a video questioning why snipers are ever used in the game, and you know, people told me back then they mainly use them for etalon captures and stuff like that, I believe. So I mean, I don't know, that's not really a popular, you know, thing to do anymore, but you can certainly use it for that if you want. But I just prefer using it on like normal missions and stuff, because it's just fun to use. Not everything is like has to be optimal or the best in Warframe, which is why it's such a good game. Sometimes it's just about what you enjoy using the most, and the Snipetron Vandal is just a cool, fun weapon. And then I have a whole section here I wrote down, actually, where I was glazing it for how I like how it looks. And I don't know if a lot of people like how the Snipetron Vandal looks, because it's kind of blocky. It's like a plastic blue color with stripes on it. I don't know. To me, it just looks so unique and distinct. It's one of the most recognizable weapons I've ever used before. It looks so cool to me. I don't know why. It's almost like a sniper that you would almost see in like slightly more realistic Minecraft, I guess. I don't know how to describe it, but I love the looks of the Snipetron Vandal. I'm putting up close-ups on the screen right now. It's also a very long, big weapon like snipers should be, and I don't know, I just love it a lot. I think it's one of the best designed weapons in the game. I really want to glaze it here for that. I love how it looks. It's probably my favorite weapon looks-wise since I've started this series. So, I mean, that's just something I want to say right there. I think it looks beautiful, which adds to my enjoyment of it, because obviously I'm going to enjoy a weapon that I think looks cool a lot more than I think I'm going to enjoy a weapon that doesn't look cool. But yeah, I probably won't ever use it in the most difficult content. Like if I'm trying to hit level cap again with my friends, the Snipetron Vandal is not what I'm going to be using. You know, but like I said, I'm not an expert by any means. This is just me giving you guys my opinion on it, how fun it is, you know, how effective it is with just basic mods on it. And that's actually something I wanted to get on here real quick as well, is that the Snipetron Vandal is actually very, very powerful and does a lot of damage without having like good mods on it. Like I have some decent mods that are harder to get, like critical deceleration, that like a new player won't have. But for the most part, you can throw on whatever mods you have by MR5, because that's when you can actually use a Snipetron Vandal. Snipetron Vandal is by MR5. By the time you hit MR5, you're going to have enough mods to make this weapon do a lot of damage. So I'm not like trying to sit here and say it's optimal or great or anything, or you know, anything like that. But I'm saying if you're a new player, get your hands on a Snipetron Vandal, it might carry you through difficult missions or difficult capture targets or difficult enemies, or even like your Kuva licks or whatever you're fighting. This might carry you through it because it can do a ton of damage without being absolutely built to the brim. So that's something to think about as well. You know, it might not be built for crowds. It might not necessarily be built, you know, for the best pace of play that Warframe plays at. But if you're a new player and you have some like enemies that you just can't beat for whatever reason, like they have too much health, they're too tanky, this might be an answer for you, because it's not that hard to make really powerful, you know? So that's just food for thought right there if you're a newer player watching this, because I was absolutely surprised about how much damage it was dealing with pretty much no good mods on it. So yeah, I would definitely recommend the weapon. Honestly, that's all I have to say about the Snipetron Vandal. It was an absolute joy to use. It was a weapon that for the first time in a long time I felt like wasn't the best option. Like I feel like it's not amazing, an amazing weapon overall, like for casual players or for like, you know, players that aren't super into builds. I feel like it's not going to, you know, peak at MR20 like the Ceto is for me. But It's just so much fun to use. I'm definitely going to be using it more. I've actually, in this series, I've probably used the Snipetron Vandal more than any other weapon I've used before actually making my review on it. It's just so much fun to use. I absolutely recommend trying it out. It's going to slow the game down for you, for sure, if you want to mainly use it. And something I just realized I didn't do was I never tried it in the open world. But I bet it would be really fun to use like in the Edelon Plains and just see how long of a shot you can get. Like, that's something I might actually go do now, is just go straight to the plains on CS and just like try to snipe someone from like 1,000 meters away. And it's just gonna be like a fun little challenge. You know what? In the comments below, drop the longest shot you ever hit with the Vandal. Now you're probably gonna have to estimate how long it was, because I don't think it tells you how long the shots are when you hit them. Maybe why do I feel like it does? I don't think it does though. But let me know the longest shot you've ever hit with the Snipetron Vandal down in the comments below. Now also that means you've watched the 15-minute mark of the video, so I really will appreciate that support. But yeah, like I said, I don't think it's exactly an elite weapon. I don't think the snipers in general are like the most elite weapons in the game, but obviously the Snipetron Vandal is extremely viable. It can get you through whatever you're doing, and more importantly than all that bullshit about if it's a good weapon or not, fuck that bullshit. Is it fun to use? It is super fun to use in my opinion. It slows down the game a lot, so if Warframe feels sometimes too fast paced to you, or you want to change the pace, absolutely use this weapon. I recommend throwing on like an Ash and going invisible, throwing on a Rhino and using Iron Skin, so you can just chill there, take time with your shots, get headshots, feel good, feel satisfied, and all this cool stuff, just because you're having fun with a pretty cool sniper that looks fucking awesome. Alright, that's all I have for this video. Thank you to my supporters, and thank you to my members, Panagoides, Stangoides, Jay, and Silent King 5000. You guys rock. You guys are the best. And, you know, I appreciate you guys commenting on videos and supporting the channel. I really do. It means a lot to me. I appreciate everyone who's watched this far into the video and supporting the channel. We've had a ton of growth recently. We're less than 70 subs away from 4,000 subscribers. We're actually almost at 4,000 subscribers. I'm trying to hit 4,000 by the end of the month. I'm not sure if it's going to be possible because we still need like 70 more in like 10 days. But if I do, that would be awesome. So subscribe, please. I'd really appreciate it if you haven't yet. But it's just been an amazing journey. I love making this content. And yeah, it's been a ton of fun. And also, I reviewed like 2 games. Like I talked about Destiny and Soulframe. Both those videos did fairly well. And it's not even about Warframe. So I appreciate the support on videos that aren't even about Warframe. I might actually talk about the Subnautica drama here soon, just to give my take on it, because I've been interested in it. I just don't know how well it'll do, but fuck it, I'll try it out. Thank you guys so much for the support. I really do appreciate it. Stay blessed, stay happy. I hope to see you guys all in the next one, and most importantly, stay safe. Goodbye.